Welcome to the third episode of Chaya and Chill. I have Pratibha with me today. She's a fellow book reviewer, book reader, obviously. She loves reading. And
I
she
love
writes
buying
as
books
well.
more than reading.
Yes, she writes as well. And why we are having this session is because of our shared love for YA literature. Despite being adults, as people like to look at us and tell us that you like YA, aren't you an adult?
I am fast approaching the beyond adult category now, I think. Let's not share our ages. Okay, going on.
No, I don't want to. Because it's been quite some time since we know each other. And now I don't want to. Because the minute I know, because every time I crib about my age, I get all like Deepti di, you, Priyanka di, Shorpita di, all of you look like you are cribbing about your age.
Really?
Leo Dar, Devdatta di as well. Really? You want to crib?
Where could we go?
So I want to know, how it's like not like a very nice thing to be apparently, loving YA literature as an adult. How did you get initiated into the world of YA literature?
Yeah. Today, when you asked me this question, before I knew that you would ask me this, so I went and checked, when did I start reading YA? Okay, so to be very fair, let me not include the books which I read before 2010, because by the time I was myself, I would call myself a young adult by the time I was in 2010. Just let's pick up the reading after that. In 2011, I remember I read a book, and there's a comment on the book review post. I went and checked that book review post on my book blog. There is a comment wherein I say that I do not like teen fiction. I should be ashamed of saying that. Anyone who knows me today would say that, really, Prats, you said that in 2011? That's a very big contradictory statement, because by the time I was already reading a lot of fantasy fiction. And if you call fantasy fiction, my favorite books were Harry Potter. Then I was reading the Black Magician trilogy. And there were other few fantasy fiction which I was reading that time, and which I later realized that all of them had teen characters. Like most of the characters were teenage. So there, if I go back and see the pattern, I was already reading a subset of YA fiction. It's just that the term as a YA fiction was not coined by that time, or I was not aware of the term by that time. And in other fantasy fiction, if you say, there was this series, the House of Night series, if you remember.
Oh, I do. I went through a phase where I read all of those books in, I think, in the span
I read 10 of them.
In a span of 2
so
weeks.
there are 12 books. I read 10 of them, and I remember a phase on the book blog wherein 3 of us were reading the same series. So there were 3 girls, and all of us were reading the same book, and we took turns in reviewing the book. So if you go and I check my blog, I clearly remember there are like 10 posts, 3 by me, 3 by another girl, and 3 by another girl. So we actually took turns to review, and we used to fangirl about that series. Like literally, you go and read the comment section, people would go crazy reading our comments there. I mean, that was a time when I think we were not chatting as much, but we were just chatting in the comment section of the blog. So that was the blogger era. And the huge comment section, we are fangirling like anything over that. Like in fact, the book admin had to come up and say, ladies, please get a room. Like, are you going to go on about this book or what? And I don't know. I don't even want to finish that series now. I have read 10 of them. Yeah, so that was my phase of initiation into YA. I came from fantasy fiction, and then I jumped into the contemporary fiction. Then again, somehow I just remained in the subset of this YA fiction. Just, stuck to me. I've never gone out of it.
And I'm so sorry because I forgot to do the first bit that we always do. I was so excited because YA is a genre that is so close to my heart. I am a writer of YA fiction. And
Oh yeah, I have to mention actually that would you still consider Secret Proposal to be a YA or a NA? Like that is a question. I mean, I'm not sure because I would consider it as a YA, but like I'm not sure how where it falls. You know, the boundaries are not really clear between YA and NA. I would have picked YA. Like the Secret Proposal was the first book which I read of yours, and I still remember you sending me that book, and that's how we started talking to each other.
yes.
So yeah, your books are always, but I would say your books are more towards NA than YA kind of stuff. At least
I also like that it was your website which interviewed me first, and see years later I'm doing this
Oh
to
yeah,
you.
Sonali interviewed you for the YouTube.
That was my first video interview ever.
I know. I remember that we both of us read the same book, and we both loved the book. And I still remember you signed the book very beautifully. You wrote a message to me when you sent me the book, and I was very impressed. I'm like, oh my god, so sweet of you to sign the book and send it to me even as a review copy. I was really impressed with that.
I actually became friends with a lot of people because of the book. I became friends with you and with Swarnali because I had sent the book. And then from there, the friendship started. And that is amazing. But coming back
for that, I have a message to you that when I told DDS that I'm talking to you today, you know what she said? I said, she said, tell her to please write another book very soon. We are waiting for her book. I said, obviously, I'll pass that message to you. So yeah, so you got a message.
She did not respond to my request for her to be on Chai and Chill, you know. She did not open that message. So yesterday I had put up a post saying that who else do you want to see on Chai and Chill? A lot of people said that DDS ko lao. One of them was Sean.
Yeah, I know. I thought you already have invited her.
I have. She's not responded. And that was the bit I wanted to do. This is the bit we do where, because it's Chai and Chill, look at my cup.
Nope.
I should also point out that there's a huge time difference between us. I am at 9 o'clock in the morning, or it's 9:23 in the morning, and Prats is at
11:53 p.m. The time zone.
I have always been fascinated by time zones.
Story of my life the last 1.5 years. But yeah, let's get back to the YA discussion.
For Secret Proposal, I actually did a bit of research and I realized that Secret Proposal, while the characters are in their 20s, the story itself is very YA. Like, because she's coming of age and she's realizing herself and all that. And then I also realized that in India, a lot of things that is accepted for a 16 and 17-year-old to happen is not a very common life experience for all of us. Like, we would not be thinking about the first time we fall in love and losing our virginity when we are 16 or 17. We have board exams.
I know. Yeah, so that's also the reason that I never distinguish between YA and NA, because a lot of NA experience are for me as YA only. Like, I just club them in a single category.
I personally believe that YA has a lot to offer. Like, somehow, YA has gotten this reputation that it's like Twilight and Hunger Games. How Katniss is torn between these two guys, Gale and Peeta, and Twilight, Edward, Bella, and Jacob. Like, everybody makes fun of it now, but it was always like one girl torn between two guys. But
yeah,
how far do you think this is true?
Totally not. Never. See, one, there are exceptions to each generalization. It's just a generalization. People who are looking from outside, or maybe because these books have become very popular because they were adapted on-screen adaptation, that people know about these books. As a reader, even if you do not read YA, as a general reader, I think even if I don't read romance or even if I don't read thriller, I do know a lot of thriller books. I do know what are the popular things. So maybe people just know about these books because these are popular. But see, I mean, the truth is far away from it. You can pick any topic, and I bet I'll figure out a book which is in a YA category which would cater to that particular topic. And you know that some of the stories, there is not even a heroine in YA section. There are stories that I and you prefer to read or I love the most. They don't even have love triangles because they don't even have a heroine. So, you know, how can you say that the YA is about a love triangle or about a heroine? Please, I read a lot of gay fiction. So yeah, I don't really agree to the fact that it's all Hunger Games or it's all Twilight. And I know people do not like the Twilight series. I am a big fan. So let's just keep aside. But Hunger Games is a good book. Like, it's not a bad one. I don't know why people have a problem with Hunger Games.
I remember reading Hunger Games and liking it, and Twilight, I remember going through this phase where I was in love with Edward Cullen because he was portrayed in a very, very perfect way.
You know, there is a video. I recently saw a video of Robert Pattinson, who plays Edward. He has made fun of Edward and Bella, the story, and it is hilarious. But the caption is only Robert Pattinson is allowed to make fun of Twilight. No one else is allowed to do that. But he totally ripped apart the story, and he acted in the movie, but he totally ripped apart it, and I loved it. I mean, it was a fun video, but I still okay. If Twilight is coming on TV, I would still watch it. I watched it. I watched the whole 4 movies. I think 3-4 months back. I will not lie about it.
So in India, I think it's there on Amazon Prime. All the
That's where I
Twilight.
watched it. Yeah, I know that. That's why I watched it. Someone told me it's on Amazon Prime. The same night I sat in, the same weekend I completed all the 4 movies. I watched everything.
I also think that it's the way the book is written. Like the one part that I enjoyed reading the most in the entire Twilight series was the bit that was written from Jacob's point of view. The title chapter, oh my god, the chapter titles, I can't get over it. I remember one chapter title, he actually wrote, I don't have a name for this chapter. That was one of the chapters. I remember, and it was so hilarious. I actually wanted to go back and read the entire series from Jacob's point of view, but I think she did it from Edward's point of view, the first book, Midnight Sun.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming up now. It's coming in August, and I have my eyes set on that book. Don't worry, I'll be reading it.
I will join you. I am not ashamed at all. I understand the hate that Twilight has gotten, but they also did very successfully in the box office.
So the very good question DD has asked me was, are you going to pre-order the book, or are you going to wait for the book to come out, read the reviews, and then buy the book? I said, DD's question. Let me think about it. I'm not sure yet. I'm not pre-ordering it for sure.
Even Hunger Games came out with a prequel, I think, the one that deals with.
It's not good. I think DD has read it. She didn't like it.
I have not even read it because once I found out the premise of the book, I was really put off because it is about my least favorite character in the series.
Yeah.
If it was about Finnick, I would in a heartbeat, I would read it. If it was about his time in the Hunger Games, I would read it.
Yeah. So we did. In the last podcast that we did a May wrap up, and she specifically talked about this book because she didn't like the book. She specifically talked about it.
Oh yes, this would be a good time to tell you that Prats, Yoda and DDS has a podcast. I'm going to link that below.
Yeah.
Video. Is there any one particular YA book that you came across that bent all of the rules that YA has put in our heads?
Okay, so my first question is, what is the rule about it is in everyone's head? The only rule that YA follows is the age category, and not age of the reader, but age of the characters. So if you go on Wikipedia or if you generally search anywhere, you will say that between ages of 10 to 18 is something like 8 to 18 or 10 to 18 is YA, and then 18 to 24 is supposed to be NA, and below that is middle grade or children's book. So considering that rule, that the character age should be between 10 to 18, there is no other rule. So anything and everything is allowed in YA as long as you follow that single rule. So you can write a historical fiction, you can write a fantasy fiction, you can write a contemporary romance, you can even write a thriller. I searched specifically like Hardy Boys. It's a middle grade book because people younger age read it. But if you see the age of the character, 16 years old, 18 years old, why not? Like Hardy Boys is also one of the contenders for YA. Harry Potter technically not YA, but why not? So there is no rule as such that a book breaks the rule. I think every single book confirms to the ideology of, if it is called a YA, it is because the age of the character. Other than that, it can be any genre, it can be any topic, and there are multiple books. Start picking up the books which I have read and liked, I realized that I actually have read books which are of varied subgenres. So I was amazed actually. Didn't realize I would have read such variety, but I have. Luckily I have.
Yeah, so I actually did not know that I was reading YA. I came across the term much later. I started reading a lot of books. Yeah, I started reading a lot of books by the same author, and then I realized, oh, it's YA.
Till now, I sometimes go on Goodreads and actually check where the people have categorized the book. Like, I don't understand genres at all. I still don't understand very clearly what is a mystery and what is a thriller. Okay, and then I mean finally I can find out, okay, what is a thriller, what is a mystery, and then they came up with another subgenre, cozy mystery. Now, what is a cozy mystery and what is a mystery? I mean, it needs, you know, and the same thing happened, like the moment you were used to telling any book is YA, came up with a new term which is NA, and it came around 2010 2012, which started coming in Western, and anything which comes in a Western thing text, you know, it takes a lot of time for it to reach India. So if you are not really following very closely all these terms in publishing industry or something, you won't even realize all these terms. Middle grade was a completely new genre for me. I realized it 3 years back when I started picking up review books on NetGalley. I realized, oh, there is a category called middle grade, and I was not even aware what is that. So I seriously don't talk to genres because I don't realize what genre the book falls. I read the synopsis, I like it, I read it. Or if someone recommended to me some book, I read it. And after reading it, I would maybe able to tell where it falls. Or not even genre. I would just say that, okay, this person should not be reading this book, or this person may like it or may not like it, depending on the sensibility of the readers. Like, I won't suggest a lot of YA books to a lot of people because I know they would not like it. But I would recommend anything to you very easily because I know you would like it. So I don't really know the genres of
personal preference. Also, the interesting thing about, you know, how a book can be both YA and NA, like The Secret Proposal, the last book that you suggested that I read, the Red, White and Royal Blue. So I assumed that it is YA. Then I found out the characters are a little older. So now then there's a debate: is it YA or is it NA?
I still put it in YA. If you ask me what is your favorite YA book of this year, I would pick Red, White and Royal Blue. I won't even think about any other book about that. Yeah, for me it's a mix.
Yeah, which was the next thing that I wanted to discuss, that how different is YA from NA. Like, there is such a thin line, you don't know. Like, all of my books, I guess, like even except for a huge part of All Signs Lead Back to You and The Guitar Girl, my characters are always in their 20s. One part in All Signs Lead Back to You is when they are in their 17 or 18 when the flashback of the school happens. And Guitar Girl, she was a 16-year-old girl, so the entire story is from that point of view.
It's a YA. It's completely clearly YA. So what I have read, some of the we discussed the same thing in the beginning. Like, if you consider a Western context, if you see YA, people would be starting to realize their identity. They would, start exploring their own identity, or about if they're having a relationship, they would start learning about how to be in a relationship, what kind of person they like. So it's more of a romantic kind of thing. That may be the YA. And NA, it sometimes goes on to the area wherein people are out of college, they started a new job, and they're trying to struggle between living alone, living independently, and then having a job and having a relationship. All the other dramas that come in the life, or making new friends when they are going out into a new city. So I think all of those topics, if you consider it is more of a NA category, not a YA category. YA is still the college until there is a confinity. So yeah, that's, I think, is the difference. And then I think a lot of NA books have more kissing and more scenes than the YA books.
And right now, since there are so many OTT platforms, both the NA books and the YA books get, they are made into series, they are made into movies. Do you think it helps their cases, or is it just going to backfire in the long run? Like, people are just going to crib.
No, as a category, it doesn't matter. Like, see, end of the day, most of the book adaptations, either as a series or a movie, it is a very mixed thing. Like it either hits or it is either a fail. And it is not for not just for YA. It is same for a fantasy fiction also. If it is made on a very huge grand scale, you make a huge series out of it. It might really work. Like Game of Thrones became a huge hit, and I mean it was adapted from books. It was a fantasy fiction, but epic fantasy. But it's not a YA. It's an adult thing. It really became hit. I saw the movie To All the Boys I Have Loved Before, and I really absolutely liked it. I read the book later. I think I've watched it first, and then I read the book. I liked both the things. So it is a beautiful thing. One of my favorite books, All the Bright Places. It was recently adapted into a movie. I think it came on Netflix. I didn't like it. It was not good. So
I haven't seen the movie yet because I'm too scared that I'll start crying.
I don't know. It did not really appeal to me.
Because I remember actually writing in my review that this book should have had a trigger warning because a lot of people did get really triggered.
Totally. So, you know, it's a gamble. It's a gamble on which book you pick. Who are the writers? Who are the screenwriters? Who is the director? Who is the cast? So there are a lot of variables in that, whether it works or not. I don't think it is going to, if you say that, a lot of YA adaptations are successful, which means people will start reading more YA. I don't think so. I don't really agree to it. I don't have that. I don't see that conversion. I don't know why.
Because I guess people who are watching the series will not actually go back and read the book. Like it happened with 13 Reasons Why. They did a really good job with the adaptation. At least I know it's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people don't like the series, but I loved the first season because they delved deeper into the psyche of all the characters to show their side of the story as well.
Even I've heard amazing things about it, and I've not read or watched it. I did not watch it because I thought I'll read it first. But for sure, as you said, if I watch it, I will not go back and read it again. I might not, because if someone really wants to know the backstory, maybe they would go and read it. Some things, there are certain shows which are like not which are not like English or Hindi shows. I watch a lot of Asian drama. There are certain Asian dramas that are converted from novels into shows, and I like the shows and I watch the series and I like it. That I go back and read the books only because I know that for the series adaptation they changed a lot of things, and the things they changed, I really wanted to read only those parts. So then I go back and read those. I mean, I at least have it in my TBR for the fact that okay, I want to read this novel because it was adapted to a show and it was done well. But a lot of times I might not even get the time to do that, or I might completely forget about that book because so that conversion is very small percentage. People who read would have already read it. Most of the like The Witcher came on Amazon Prime. It came. I did not watch it till I read at least the initial 2 books. So I have read the 2 books and then I watched the show, and now the season 2 is coming. Before that, I have to finish another 2 books. So someone who really wants to read the book before the show is going to come out will read the book before watching it. But once you watch it, it's done and dusted. You can't read it after.
Sometimes I think these adaptations are much better than the books. Case in point is The Kissing Booth and The Vampire Diaries. I tried reading a Vampire Diaries.
I think about Vampire Diaries. I have not read it. I have not watched it, and
I
it is a shame because I love vampire books. I read a lot of vampire stories. So it was, and my sister watched it, and she asked me, like, how come you have not watched it? I said, yeah, good question. I don't know how it's skipped, and I have not read it. Like, and I think Vampire Diaries is a YA fiction.
Yes, you're not wrong. It is a YA fiction. Also,
it is a YA fiction.
So the interesting thing about Vampire Diaries was it was conceptualized by the publishing house and contracted to the writer. And she actually has no control over the world or what happens. She is just supposed to write. And she got into a huge fight with the publishers as well. She wanted Elena Damon and the other guy, Stephen, to go in one way, and they wanted to go in another way, and then she ended up getting fired. But yes, it has, like, it was really well made. The other thing, it was a very short-lived series called The Secret Circle, which got cancelled, but it was really well made. I am disappointed they did not do a season 2.
Among YA, I think I've heard good things about 13 Reasons Why. I've heard good things about To All the Boys I've Loved Before. That was good. It was very nice, and it was a very good cross genre kind of book. I read it as a part of a challenge which was called a Asian inspired YA kind of thing. So that's when I read it, and I watched it after. And I had already watched it. I remember that I have to read it, so I read it as part of that. It was very good. I think there are one or two more shows which I've seen which were really good, but I can't remember much. I like book adaptations are kind of I'm very scared of picking them, and especially if I've liked the book, I won't want to touch that.
There was a series called The Magicians. I watched the first season, then I liked the first season so much I started researching it, and then I found out that it's actually based on a series of books that has been around for ages. So it's like the Chronicles of Narnia. Like everybody knew about Narnia, right? But mainstream people would come to know about it after it's made into a movie. Hey, DDS replied, she asked when do you want to do it?
See?
Okay, so coming back to YA, character or any particular, one person or one persona that has stayed with you from YA?
I will not say a persona, but I would just like to mention a book. Okay,
yes.
So there is
that would have been my next question, but okay, let's go.
Okay, so there is a book which is called You Against Me by Jenny Dowhen, and I read this book way back in 2011. This was the first book which was tagged as a YA when I picked it up. Like, I saw this term YA for the first time when I picked up this book, and the challenge was to read a book wherein the characters are below 18 years of age. That was a challenge for which I searched a lot of. I just typed teen fiction. And this book had released that very year, and it had a very rave reviews on Goodreads, so I picked up this book. This book is about a boy whose sister has been assaulted in a party, and there is the girl who is the sister. And then there is the main character is the sister of the guy who has been charged with the assault. Okay, so not a story about the actual victim of the assault or the person who did the assault. It is about their family members. So this boy and this girl from each other's family, they start talking to each other because they want to know what is happening on the other side of the thing. There is a case open, there's an investigation going on. And this guy wants to know more about the boy who has been charged. He wants to know his secret, so he starts talking to his sister, just to win his loyalty. And the sister also wants to help her brother. She thinks her brother is completely, right in whatever he's saying, and she believes him. And the twist of the story is that somewhere she knows that her trust is not right, but the loyalty to the family is so much that she doesn't want to question it. But when these two people start talking to each other, they question a lot of things about themselves, about the family. And I don't even remember what is the ending of the book. But that one book has stayed with me. And I give that name to every other person who comes up and say, oh, YA is not a serious literature, or YA is just a romance, or is just something, it is not serious. And I just give this name because this book changed my opinion about the whole teen fiction category. And I realized that it is, maybe I was picking all the wrong kind of book, or maybe I was picking up all the popular books which were all romance, or which was all love triangles, or very fluffy kind of stuff, which I still pick up sometimes because I like that kind of stuff. But if you want to go a step deeper into the genre, you will find all kind of books. So that's one book which has completely stayed with me. And this characters I really like, both the characters, because they were not perfect characters. They were they both had their own problems. They both had their own flaws, but together they really made sense. Right. So yeah, that's one book, the whole book cast which has stayed with me.
Yeah, so when you were talking about the two YA fiction came to mind, which were also made into movies. One is called Speak. And I think that was one of Kirsten Stewart's first jobs. She was very young when that happened, and it is about her getting
Ah.
assaulted at a party, and her coping mechanism is she stops speaking about it, and then the whole story explores why that happened. And the other
Oh.
one was it's kind of a funny story. It's about a guy who's on the verge of killing himself. He realizes that something is wrong, and he checks himself into a mental asylum.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I read the book, I loved the book, and the movie was one of the few movies that I found did justice to whatever was written in the book. Like, that is very hard to come across. That it's a very good adaptation, and you're cheering the people on.
I know. Yeah.
Sorry, now triggered. I remembered the character that I wanted to tell you about, and I don't know if you've read any of Meg Cabot's books. I know Princess Diary is the book that she's known for, but she has this series called Mediators, The Mediator.
No, I have not read.
So this female, she can talk to ghosts, and she can also have physical contact with ghosts. Her name is Sue Simon, and I loved the fact that she's described as this hot-headed young teenager and who believes in hitting people first and asking questions later. And
Oh my God.
And she's 16, I think, when the story starts. And I personally think that you would enjoy the series a lot. She had to wrap up the series in 6 books because it wasn't as popular as the Princess Diaries, and she wrote a book much later on, as a remembrance book. That is the last book in the series, which came out, I think, 10 years after. But I think you would really enjoy it.
I'll check that out. That reminded me of the Lockwood series by this Jonathan Stroud. If you have not heard, it's a series. I've read 2 books out of it, and I think it has been picked up by adaptation by Netflix. I think it's the Lockwood series only, which is about there is a ghost busting agency, and it has this 4 people who are all 16 to 18 years old, and it's a Ghostbuster thing, and they are hilarious. And I mean, Jonathan Stroud his books are really fun. Even his Bartimaeus trilogy is really, really snarky fun. Like it's really humorous. I've read 2 of those books. I have to finish that series, but Lockwood and Co is hilarious.
I definitely have to check this out.
Its adaptation should be really fun. And I'm really very looking forward to its adaptation now.
Oh, I really have to read this then, because I enjoyed one book, one series I remember that I kept asking people that why are you so stuck on Princess Diaries? This woman has written the Mediator series. Read it, it's so good.
It happens. I mean, sometimes authors get not from author point of view, but the people get so attached to seeing or knowing just one book by the author that they really don't explore other genres the author has written. And sometimes it's a little sad for the authors also, because they're stuck to a particular book or a particular genre.
So tell me about it.
If they don't get success for other books, I think the publishers also would not want those series to be done, kind of thing.
So it's been 8 years since I wrote The Secret Proposal, and I still get messages from people saying that I found your book, it's so good. When are you writing a sequel? And I'm like, I have written other things, man. Read it.
You have to send me the story. You didn't share the story you wrote about Secret Proposal, I think.
Oh, I will send it to you.
Yes.
I also figured out a way to redeem myself, so as to say.
I know. I'm looking forward to that.
I told you that.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it.
Yeah, but right now I really am. Currently I'm working on this book that I started way back when I had first adopted my first cat, Pipo. And I read the story back, and it has, like, if I write 5 more chapters, the story will be done. So Leoda has given me a challenge to release the book by the 8th of August, because that is International Cat Day. Plus, adopting Felix really inspired me to actually try and finish it.
Cool.
Again, that book, I'm sure it's in the YA genre, because my characters are in their 16, 17-year-old.
Yeah. I think my stories are mostly almost NA characters. Like, not too old, not too young kind of thing. If I write the stories, yeah. Most of them are that way. From the new adult kind of thing. Because they're all half idiots. So they have not matured yet.
I was making my characters age along with me, then I think I grew up a little more than my characters. Like they're still in their early 20s.
Yeah, it's fun to read about them. You know, like it's like you can't make every mistake of your life, or you can't make the same mistake twice, but your characters can. So it's kind of a nostalgia. Like, part of the reason for reading YA is that I don't want to deal with real problems, or I don't want to deal with office politics. I don't want to read about people having troubles in marriages, or people having troubles with breakup or relationship. Like the first breakup is okay, but after a point when people have those second or third breakup and they start really philosophizing about their life, okay, what went wrong in my life. I don't want to deal with all those dialogues. Like so I stick to my YA. I love my characters having the stupid naive ideas about romance and doing all kind of the secret dates, the long walks. Like how many times would you have a first date? You only have one first date. How many times can you think about it? But there are 100 different ways to have a first date, and if you have 100 books telling you that, oh please welcome. I am totally for it. Like I really love doing that. That's the reason I read YA, basically.
Yeah, I do that too. Like one of my major arguments, a lot of people had told me that maybe it's time to read grown-up fiction. I remember I had gotten this gift voucher for crosswords from my sister, and that was playing in my head. And then I said, who am I kidding? I like YA fiction. I'm going to go buy YA fiction. What is your problem?
I read an essay on why adults should not read YA, and one of the arguments the lady kept making in that essay or the article or whatever it was that the YA is not truth of life. You should move to more mature stories which are more realistic in romance, and there is a lot of there is a lot of beauty in living a life which is not really happy and which is not really sad. It's a mixed bag of emotions and open endings, or the sad endings that are part and parcel of life, and people should read those. And I'm like, why? I'm living my life. My life has enough open endings, sad endings, daily things, and I'm happy with my life as it is. And but I don't want to read. I mean, at least it's not like I only read YA. I don't read general fiction. I do read general fiction once in a while. I do come across some of the books which are really compelling. Some historical fictions are really beautiful done. I do read that. But if I want to read more of a YA, then I'm not justifying myself to anyone. Like seriously, it's my money, it's my time, and I'll read whatever I want to read.
Yeah.
So if someone says you should read that, I'll say, okay, are you sponsoring my books? Are you gifting me this book? Please gift me and I'll try to read it. If you are not, then let it be. Please let it be.
At the same time, I think the whole thing is I want to read books that make me happy. So if this book makes me happy, then why are you? Then why are you having a problem with it?
Obviously, that's the point. Like the whole point of reading is if people say you are escaping life, then my answer is the whole point of me reading is escapism.
Escaping life.
I am escaping from this life. Like if COVID is going on, I don't want to think about COVID. I just want to think about happy stuff.
Oh
and if
my
YA is giving me all happy feelings, I'm like, please give me more.
So the COVID has inspired a lot of filmmakers, obviously, to register their titles. So one of those titles I came across was called Corona Pyar Hai. Like, what?
What? I saw a book. I saw a book on love in the times of like something related to COVID. The book title is there. I think the book is out, and I'm like, why are you torturing people? Like, please don't do that. I got for a moment I got reminded of the whole Indian fiction phase, which was all the college and college romance, and oh my god, it was a. Let's not remember that, please.
The lockdown has actually inspired way too many stories.
And those are horrible. Oh, please, I had to review some of the books and I used to cry reading those. So don't even. I remember one book I was reading and I read my review today when I was checking my book docs because I was searching for YA book. And I read and I came across that book review and I clearly remember because my friend sent it to me saying that please do me a favor and review this book and all, and I called him up every 15-20 pages and I'm like, what is this? Why are you torturing me? Like, what did I do wrong to you in your life that you're making me read this book? I somehow read it. I reviewed it and I read it also. Like, I had read so many books that time of those category. I don't even want to remember. I fear, that in the name of all these romance, now all this COVID romance is going to come out, which I really don't want to get into.
Yeah, you will have a new genre altogether. Like we were talking about how genres develop, you will have a genre called COVID. Yeah. I'm so scared.
Yeah, seriously. I know. It's horrible. I don't know, like sometimes when I'm reading a lot of YA fiction, the reason I keep telling you is please write is the fact that I don't come across good YA from Indian fiction. Indian fiction YA is, I don't know what are, I don't know what Indian authors are writing these days. I don't even see a lot of amazing books coming out which are like really come across. Oh yeah, I want to read it, and I keep asking people, suggest me Indian fiction. I have not read Indian fiction for a very long time, and people keep suggesting me books which are like 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old. All those kind of amazing books, and I mean all those already are in my TBR, and I do want to read that. But I do want to explore YA in Indian fiction, and I'm really waiting for more writers to come up with those stories. I think we do have amazing stories. We can have amazing stories from small cities, in colleges, in schools, and we do have some good sweet. I'm not even asking for romance. Okay, I'm just maybe. Sports related, or maybe just historical fiction kind of thing, or just write a thriller. Like there was a very cute mystery book which I read. I don't even remember the name. The author never came up with the second part. It was about a boy who's an investigator. It's set up in a school hostel, and it was amazing. I mean, it was a mystery of a cat, and it was so beautifully done. That whole thing was so amazingly done. I really loved reading that. But the author never came up with the second part. I would have loved reading more about it. So a lot of times I do have a request that, Indians, where is Indian YA? Please, if I'm missing the books, please send me the recommendations. I would love to read those.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of recommendations, but like I was telling you, sometimes it's not our fault. Like a lot of people want to do Secret Proposal. They want to see Secret Proposal sequel. And I actually asked my publisher about it, and he said that, see, just selling 200 books per year, 100 to 200 books is not going to break it for us. It has to be 1,000. And it is a thing that, it is a lot of times that they don't want to take that chance. So he actually told me that I would suggest you self-publish this book. Thanks. I actually am pretty thankful to Kindle e-publishing because Kindle has made it so much easier for us to get our words out there, and we do have, to us, even if we sell 100 or 200 books, it's a win.
And again, it's a pros and cons kind of thing.
Yeah.
TDS tortured me by sharing me screenshots of one of the books from Kindle publishing, and I don't even want to say anything more about it. If I tell you those screenshots, the language and the scene, and literally, my reaction was like, first thing in the morning, I don't want to read this. That was like my WTF reaction.
So that is,
it is again the fact that a lot of people are more writing rather than reading more. So please, people should start reading more before writing.
Or they could hire an editor, like we discussed in the second episode. I got Sean Vidadi to tell me that tell people why they need.
Some of the things the editor won't help you. Editor can help you with grammar, with a good story. But if you don't even have a story, or if you are writing a really, really ridiculous sex scene, I think the editor would commit suicide reading that. I won't wish that on some editors. Totally not.
The only editor I know is Shaur Vidadi, and I can't even imagine what she's going to do. She has come across terrible manuscripts. She actually said she did. I'm sure
she would have.
I worked in a publishing house, so I can tell you that most of the stories that come to us, they were terrible. I remember one story in particular that I rejected, the in-house editor rejected. My boss at that point of time, she read it and she actually sent it to us as a joke. And both of us yelled at her saying that, why would you do this to us? 1 year later, I get a mail from a person saying that, would you be interested to, review my book? I go check the Kindle link and it's the book we had rejected.
I only did beta reading before you. I think 2-3 years back, I did for someone on Twitter. This person pinged me saying that it's a very small 100-page kind of novella kind of thing. So would you beta read and give me ideas about it? I read it and it did not even have the heart to, because I told that the person said, okay, you are allowed to make some changes. And I told my husband, I said, if I make these changes, this will not even look like what it came to me. Like I would, if I had a red pen and paper, I would say all red. Like, what is this? I said, the story doesn't even make sense. And I literally said, it just looks like there are 10 makeout scenes and it is just tied out with, one is in this situation place and then they travel to this place and again they make out and then they do this and then they again make out. I said, where is the story in this? And that's the last time I said, I am not doing beta reading, I'm not doing editing because I'm really not cut out for it. I can't. I mean, you are the only person for whom I do beta reading because I trust your stories at least and I love reading your stories. So I'm okay with it. But other than that, I'm done it. And for reviewing, I'm not picking any Indian fiction at all. Like I really cannot deal with that anymore. Not the usual stuff that comes to me.
I really personally want to write a crime novel or a thriller because just to challenge myself and see where it goes.
It will be fun. In my recent the story collection which I'm working on, I wrote a story which is kind of a mystery kind of thing, a fantasy fiction mystery kind of thing. I mean, it can be opening of a fantasy fiction kind of supernatural kind of book. Basically, not fantasy. It's more of a supernatural kind of stuff. And I think Yogesh liked it, and I was happy that okay, yeah, he enjoyed it because he said when I started reading it, I thought, oh, another love story you have written. And then when I came to the end, I was like surprised. Oh, this is good. And I'm like, oh yeah, I like that reaction. That reaction I like.
Okay, fine. What has been your favorite YA reads so far? And I know it has been a lot, so you can just tell me the top 3 that come to mind, or even one would do, because I already have mine.
Okay, I'll seriously start with the latest one because I am still head over heels in love with Red, White and Royal Blue. I cannot recommend that book enough. And I really want to read it before end of this year. I'm going to reread the book. Because I love their email communications. I'm totally fan of those emails. Oh my god, those emails made my heart beat so much happy. I really loved those two, all that communication part. So that is the first one. Then is a book which is both our favorite, which is What If It Is Us, and that is definitely going to be there in the top 5 books for me. Because it's a very it's less of a romance. It's more about friendship, and it's more about people you meet. And when you part, you don't really have to part on a bad terms. You can always have a very amicable, very happy farewell, and then keep in touch. And whether one person likes the same way or likes in a different way, it's part and parcel of life. But the whole story and the way they explored the city, it was very beautifully done. Like I really enjoyed reading What If It's Us, and it was a very fun book. So that's the second book. The third book which I want to pick up is Looking for Alaska by John Green. It was the very first book which I read by John Green, and I absolutely love that book. It is a little sad kind of a book, like most of the John Green books are partially little on a sadder side, but still the characterization, their friendship, the way the dialogues, oh god, it is beautiful. It is amazing book. I think it's it's my favorite John Green book, and I have read most of John Green books. all of them are in the YA category. So obviously I have read most of it, but Looking for Alaska is something which I really, really absolutely admire. So yeah, so these 3 books are complete and on top of my mind, which I would say my favorite YA fiction.
Looking for Alaska, I think, was recently adapted into a series. Have you seen it?
Heard about it, I've not seen it. I told you, if I like the book, I don't want to
Watch the
spoil the
series.
memory of the book.
But
I don't want to watch it as a series or a movie. I rarely would watch it. I only would watch it if it comes with very, very high recommendation, or if I've not read the book and I can just go ahead and watch the movie or watch the series as a standalone, I'll do it. But if I love the book, I would not spoil the memory of that. I would not really touch it. And frankly, All the Bright Places, I did not watch. I only saw the trailer of it. But later I heard from a lot of readers that they didn't like the movie version, and I'm like, okay, thank God, I'm saved. I'm not watching it.
A lot of people did not
That
like
is
it.
another of the book which is which I really love that book, and obviously that book comes with a trigger warning because that book really the end of it's shocking, and it is, you can't really deal with the ending of that book very easily. Like,
Yeah, you can't. That is
it was
why they
very-
said a lot of people did get triggered, and that is why they wanted a trigger warning to be put on the book.
Yes. Actually, now a lot of people are asking for a trigger warning in front of the beginning of the books, and I think it's a very good
It's a good
thing to do.
Yes, because
Yes,
you don't know
yes.
what is going to
A
set
lot-
somebody off. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. In fact, I have started putting that trigger warning in front of my reviews also. If I feel something is triggering, I put that as a first line in my, in the book reviews. I do mention that, that it contains so and so. So please, if you are going to be triggered by these events in the book, then you should be warned about it. Like, a lot of people have different trigger points. I'm not really aware of a lot of it. But yes, if it is a violence, if it is an assault, if it is an abuse, or if it's bullying, I mean, these are all the major things I always mention. So All the Bright Places was not at all bright. Seriously, I don't know why they kept that name for the book. And I kept wondering, like, it had a lot of bright places, but end of it, the way she has to go to all those places to search for him was not at all. I don't know. It was very heartbreaking for me personally.
I think I have to edit in and say trigger warning. Don't watch this book. Read this book or watch this movie. We are not recommending this at all.
I'm recommending it the book because it's a beautiful book. So if you are able to deal with those mental thing and suicide, please go ahead and read it because it's a beautifully written book. I mean, I'm not faulting the book, but yes, it was a little hard for me. After that, because of that book, I have never touched The Fault in Our Stars. I have not watched the movie. I have not read the book.
Oh my
Fault in
god.
Our Stars.
Fault in Our Stars was one book I asked my sister to read. And she told me later on that she was reading this book and she was sitting with her sister-in-law and her brother-in-law and all. And then she told them that, you know what, you're going to see me start crying in a bit. Don't worry, it's the book. And then she put, 2 days ago, I think it came up on my memory as well. She put this meme on my Facebook wall saying that The Fault in Our Stars is one book that you can hit a person with the book and it will not hurt as much as the story. That is one
It's
recommendation.
true. Because both the books came almost the same time. When I had read All the Bright Places first, and then someone asked me, please read Fault in Our Stars, and I already knew it is about. I kind of knew how it ends and what is it about, and I'm like, I already went through a cry fest. I don't want to go into another cry fest soon.
The other thing that I made my sister read was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. After a point of time,
my
she
God.
said that you stop recommending books to me. I keep crying because of all these books. And again, we could make the argument that see, these are all YA books.
I miss those books actually, which make me cry. I've not cried over a book in a very very long time. I now cry over the shows. I watch a lot of Asian dramas and I cry, but I've not cried over a book. I think not this year. The book has not made me cry. Yeah, I mean I remember crying my cry fest. The one book that I really cried about was The Host by Stephanie Meyer. And oh my god, the book made me cry like anything. 2 a.m. in the night, I was listening to the audiobook and I was crying. It was end of the book, and it is a beautiful ending. Like, it is not a sad ending, but the way it was, I mean, just before the ending, the climax scene, I cried like anything. And it's one of my favorite books. I mean, yeah, you can't put it in a YA because it's a dystopian kind of thing. I mean, the people are adults, but it is a far cry from the, like, people were shocked. I mean, you look at the Twilight series and then you look at the Post,
I can
and
understand.
you're like, okay, both the books are written by the same author. You totally can't believe it.
You know, as opposed to books making you cry, I remember feeling incredibly happy when I was reading What If It's Us. I remember I wanted to finish the book so badly. I think I kind of conspired with the universe to have a power cut in my office at that day, because we were not getting any work done. For one half of the day, there was no power on anything. So I was sitting on my colleague's desk. There was sunlight streaming in. I was reading, and they were like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Shh, I have to find out what happens."
That book is amazing. Like, seriously, I love that book, and it's one of the very, very
So
happy books.
I want to go back to that book when I want to feel happy again.
Yes. And it is the best part is that book is not happy because it has some very extraordinary things going on. It is happy because it is very ordinary life. Like, you can imagine those things happening in real time. There is no exaggeration in that whole book. I don't feel it's exaggerated at all. That's the one part which really made me happy about it.
There are so many quotable quotes from that book, and like you said, that it is about ordinary life. I like how they say that I'm not sure whether we are a story about love or if we are in a love story, and that is so beautiful.
Yeah. That reminds me, there's another YA fiction which is called We Contain Multitudes. That is a book I would have cried if I was not sitting in a restaurant. So I was finishing that book on audio, and I went to a restaurant for dinner, and I went alone for dinner, and it was on my audio. So by the time the order was coming, I was listening to that, and I was at the end of the book. So that's the reason I was listening to it in a restaurant, because I really wanted to finish the book, and I was at the far end of the story, and literally I would have cried if my order would not have come at the correct moment. I would have started crying about that, and that is a beautiful story about again about two boys falling in love through letters they write to each other. And I think I recommended that book to you. I'm not sure if you read it or not. But the whole book is written in terms of the letters they write to each other, or the letters they leave for each other. It's always looking back, and then they're describing the scene in their head and what they felt about it. Amazing. And the poetry in that, and all the We Contain Multitude is actually the title of a poem. That's how the book is named, because the book references to the poet a lot. It has a lot of references to the poet, and We Contain Multitude is the name of the poem. And this book was the last one which like really moved me. It really made me cry. It's beautifully done. I think I have a thing for books which are written in terms of emails or in terms of letters or text messages, kind of thing. I instantly fall more in love with that. I'm like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. And writing letters to each other was like, oh god, seriously, someone send me a letter. When I was reading that book, I'm like, someone please send me a letter. It was so adorable. That's another book. That's the last book, I think, that made me feel like crying.
Okay, we are down to our last question. And the last question is, of all the books that we spoke about, what is the one book that you would love to see get made into a series, picked up by an OTT platform, or made into a movie?
And then getting destroyed by it and giving me nightmares about the way it is made. Oh, no, please, thank you so much. I will not wish that on any of my favorite books. Like I told you, it's not about book. It is about, you can pick up any random book, and if it is a wonderful cast, if it is a wonderful production team who's working on it, they can create wonders out of it. But I don't know. I really don't want like if I could, I would want to watch every single book which I love on screen. I would like happily watch it. But even if I have to really pick something, I think Red, White, and Royal Blue would be fun. It should be really fun to watch.
You know how they destroyed you know how they destroyed Percy Jackson in the movies? So right now they are in talks and they are going to release it as a series. And all the die-hard Percy Jackson fans on my timeline have been going, yes, we needed this.
But you remember, Disney came out with this movie recently. Artemis Fowl came out on Disney. That movie. And a lot of people didn't even connect to it. Like maybe people who have read it might have liked it, but a lot of people who have not read it extensively, they watched the movie and they didn't like it. Like so, you know, it's like again, if you're going to make a Percy Jackson series and you don't make it well enough for a random person to connect to it and watch it, and if it is only for the die-hard fans, then I don't know how it's going to work out. Yeah, but
This time
I am
the
excited
author is
about
going to be involved. So last time I don't think the author's
Yes.
input was there. This time the author is going to be involved a lot. And
Yes,
for,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
believe you spoke about Artemis Fowl, right?
I am actually excited about that series, and in fact, I have not read the series. I plan to read the series before they. God, there are so many books to read. God, yeah. So
I'm going to make a meme
I
out
do.
of that.
Feel free. So
But yeah,
uh,
but you were talking about Artemis Fowl, right? So Artemis Fowl, what I did my research about it, and I found out that they misrepresented a lot of characters and they whitewashed the entire series, and people got pissed, especially right now.
obviously, yeah. See, so that's what I meant. If you're going to pick up my favorite book and you're going to like do the stupid stuff out, the stupid things with it, and just to make it popular or whatever norms you want to follow, then please don't touch the book. Like, so seriously, no. But otherwise, you can pick up any of the books that we discuss. You pick up any book and you make it into a brilliant story, and I think it will be really wonderful. Red, White, and Royal Blue, not just being a YA fiction with a romance. I think it was more. I remember a lot. I remember a lot of people loved reading that because Red, White, and Royal Blue has a black female president of America, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, please, we need her." Like it was that kind of. The whole wave was going on compared to the current president of USA. People were like, that lady was a black female and she was a divorce. I think she was divorced in the book.
I am still
Yeah.
reading.
Yes. She was divorced. I mean, her husband was campaigning for her, but I think they were separated. So the whole representation part of the book, the whole representation of different kind of people, and then son of a president falling in love with the prince of UK. Oh my God! Please give me the series. Give me. I would love to watch it.
Oh.
I am all for these kind of romance. So yeah, it's a fantasy romance thing. Please give it to me. I love it.
I actually also want to see What Affects Us, but I'm also scared that because it's going to be a adaptation, they will dramatize it so much that they will ruin the
What
simplicity of
Affects
the
Us
story.
is a difficult one to adapt because a lot of things in that story are very, very subtle. Like it's not very cheesy. Red, White, and Royal Blue is cheesy romance. You know, you can just put up their communications, tell them telling all these dialogues. Running away and hiding from other people, from the paparazzi to meet, and crossing all from US to UK, going to and fro. This is a very it's a tricky book. I think it will be tricky to pick it up and adapt it into a series. If they can do it, they might do amazing work with it. But it is again hit or miss. So yeah, let's not touch that.
And on that,
it actually literally hurts me when if a book is adapted and it's not done well. Somewhere it really hurts me. So I am very, very big fan of like it's a generalized statement, but I would still stick to it that there are very, very few series or movies which are book adaptations and they are done well. At least in English or Hindi, I have not seen many of them. Maybe now with Netflix spending a lot of money with the big production houses and all, they're still doing a little better than before, but not so much.
yep, let's see. But on that note, we will have to wrap up. Thank you for joining me on Chai and Chill, despite the differences.
To yap so much about the books.
Yeah, and thank you for talking so at length about YA fiction. I was going to say that fangirling over it, but I think we went all over the place and not just one thing. And I loved this. I have always loved all kinds of bookish discussion. It's makes me happy. So thank you.
I was like so excited. I'm so excited because I was telling my one of my friend I'm emailing her, so we don't talk. Otherwise, we only email to each other. I wrote to email. I'm very excited about my weekend because like right now I'm talking to you, and your Saturday 9:30 p.m. like in another 10 or 11 hours. I have an author interview for my podcast, and I'm so excited to talk about with that author, because again we will be talking about books and writing and about her books and her favorite books, and I'm so interested. And me and DDS are going to have this podcast talking to Shilpa Suraj, and I'm like really excited about it. So my weekend is also.
I think I saw a book, the new one.
Yep, Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Yes. So I love both her books. I read Fahrenheit and I loved the previous one also, Love, Marriage and Other Disasters. And I absolutely loved both of them. And I asked DDS, can I do an interview of her for our podcast? So DDS asked her and she was all good for it. She said, as long as I'm not doing a video, I'm fine. So yeah, please, we don't do videos. Please come.
You have to go tell her now that it's just a video. Mine is not a
If she comes on your, once DDS comes on your video, now I'm going to catch her next week. I said, next podcast, you're doing a video with me. Catch her. I'm totally ready for that. The moment she comes on video with you, I am next coming on our channel for video.
She's done a lot of FB lives with other authors.
I know, maybe she's not that to video. I think it would take more time to convince Leo for that. But also, if you don't want to come, then let me and DDS do at least alternate videos. Let both of us do, because me and DDS can sit and talk endlessly. I think there was one episode wherein Leo had to actually remind both of us, like, please stop. And like we literally had to say that. Let's stop time. And you know what we were discussing? We were discussing fan fiction. We were discussing Harry Potter fan fiction.
I already did an episode. My first episode is on fan fiction.
I'm so looking forward to it.
And that was like subsequently, I think because Chamarpita Dis was editing and I did not have much to talk about because I am not an editor at all, and I was learning from her. Hers was the only one I finished on time. Everybody else, we overshot the time limit. But thanks again. Have a great night ahead. Sleep.
Yeah. Send me a clip of that once you finish it. I have to send me a clip of it before you post, or whatever you post, a clip of it, right? Send me that.
Okay, will do.
If you find out my name, please, that name, please do send it to me. I need to send it to my husband. I'll myself put it out and keep it for myself. That reaction I did.
Which one? The book?
This one.
I will. Chalo. Bye. Have a great night ahead, I would say. For me, my day has just begun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend.
You too. Thank you.